Bank of America has agreed to pay $72.5 million to settle a lawsuit by the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida Lawman here on Substack. Thank you for your support. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And if you have, please consider upgrading. So, the latest news when it comes to Epstein is that Bank of America has admitted that it overlooked signs that Epstein's accounts were being used to further his abuse of young women. They're going to settle the lawsuit on that front. Now, I'm sure the settlement will, there's probably a provision that says we don't admit to anything, but the fact that they are paying $72.5 million to settle the lawsuit, that it's because of that allegation. And the settlement, according to the New York Times, still requires approval by a judge. But it's the third payout by a big bank to resolve similar claims by the same team of victims' lawyers. The bank is still saying that they did not facilitate sex trafficking crimes, but they want to put this matter behind them. This will allow many of the victims of Epstein between 2008 and 2019 to have this monetary compensation. This is in addition to JP Morgan Chase, which had provided banking services to Epstein for about 15 years. They agreed to pay $290 million previously. Deutsche Bank, they held Epstein's accounts for around 5 years. They agreed to pay $75 million. And when it comes to JP Morgan Chase, they provided services to Epstein between 1998 and 2013. That is right in the sweet spot where you had so many victims of Epstein. And now when it comes to Bank of America, their involvement with Epstein took place after JP Morgan stopped doing business with him. So they picked up where JP Morgan left off. And by that point, the main victims were young women, a lot of them from Russia and Ukraine. This is overseas, and that's because you had Epstein, who was by that point a convicted sex offender, someone where there was a lot more scrutiny on him because he admitted to, because he pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution for an underage victim. Now, back then, by the way, you could have solicitation of prostitution for someone underage. Now, those so-called prostitutes are considered victims under the law. So you would not, if that happened today, you would not be pleading guilty to solicitation of prostitution when it's someone who is underage. It's thankfully we've changed our way of thinking and the laws, so it's not a prostitute we're talking about, it's a victim. And according to New York Times, the lead plaintiff in the Bank of America lawsuit, an unidentified woman, came to the United States from Russia in 2011 when she was about 20. The lawsuit said Mr. Epstein had sexually abused her at least 100 times and coerced her into a cult-like life in which she was totally dependent on him. And in 2013, Bank of America opened an account for the woman, then 22 at the direction of Mr. Epstein's employees, even though she spoke little English and had no job or discernible source of income, all potential red flags for sex trafficking, the lawsuit said. Nowadays, banks, airlines, hotels were much more sophisticated when it comes to what sex trafficking is and what it is not. But still, when you're a bank, you need to at least have some responsibility. I mean, you still have currency transaction reports and suspicious activity reports, things to avoid money laundering, things to call out, money transfers that are suspicious. And here they didn't do any of that, so you see why the lawsuit was settled. And the article goes on to talk about how the lawsuit against Bank of America focused heavily on one particular Bank of America customer, Leon Black. That's the private equity billionaire who funneled $170 million to Mr. Epstein from his various accounts at the bank. And Black has long argued that the payments were for traditional tax and estate services. And he was not named as a defendant in the lawsuit. It was not a party to the settlement. So he could still be on the hook when it comes to these victims for an additional payout, because this matter is not ending. And the fact that there has been accountability around the world where politicians have had to step down, even the artist formerly known as Prince Andrew was briefly arrested and detained. But in this country, you haven't seen that kind of accountability. But on the financial side, it's starting to happen. and I suspect there'll be more to come. That's the latest. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, a.k.a. the Florida Lawman. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, share with a friend, leave a comment below. Thank you for all your support. And if you want to support my work even further, please consider an upgraded subscription. And I'll see you next time.